Everybody. Excited to have you all joining us this afternoon for a webinar that is going to discuss a very exciting new Medicare leads platform that we are excited to introduce to our Medicare advisors. Also, we'll be discussing and giving you some details regarding our new Medicare marketing reimbursement program that we are going to be calling KAFL Cash that will be able to reimburse our Medicare advisors for marketing expenses that you incur on Medicare business. To help me out with the presentation this afternoon will be Gary Gore, National Director of Sales with Medicare Express. And we'll provide a quick overview of Medicare Express. Gary will give a detailed tutorial of the onboarding process, and then we'll talk about the co-oping that could be available to producers based upon various levels of production, and then certainly give details on our marketing reimbursement program that we are very excited to launch. Medicare Express is a pre-qualified, high-intent, in-person sales meetings that provides preset appointments for Medicare advisors. It's very glad to be able to be targeted to specific zip codes that syncs with your e-calendar, either your Google Calendar or your calendar on your iPhone, or what other calendars you may use, Outlook. Medicare Express is realizing a 40%, even as high as a 60% conversion rate for those who are really converting at a high percentage. And Gary will be able to go through the simple onboarding process and give you a very detailed tutorial about showing you how it works and the success that it has brought upon for many Medicare producers throughout the country. So with that, I want to turn it over to Gary, and he's going to be able to go ahead and show you what it's all about. So Gary, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, and this has been a few months in the works here, and finally getting across the finish line. I'm really excited about the opportunity with your agency and agents. And typically in these type of meetings, I'd like to, I don't have a bunch of slides or anything like that, but I am going to get into the program details and some best practices and some tips that I've talked to and with agents across the country and the real successful agents. I get into some of those details, and I'll do that today. But I did want to just correct one quick thing. We don't play well in the sandbox with Outlook. And so the e-calendars and Gmail and things of that nature, if you are using an Outlook calendar, I'm going to have to ask you kindly to maybe get another one, whether it's an e-calendar or something with Google. I also have Trevor Van Nottingberg on the phone with us. He's your account manager, and this gentleman is awesome, and he'll be your kind of your day-to-day guy if you have questions, or if you need help in the portal, or if you want to change zip codes, or if you have any back-end changes, any issues with a meeting or anything like that. He is going to be your direct resource. And so let me get started. And again, my name is Gary Gore. I've been in this industry for close to a little over 20 years now, and I started with Humana as a sales agent, selling across the table, kind of like you guys do now, and had the opportunity to run a team in the Pinellas County, Tampa Bay market, and here in Florida for almost 13 years. So I had a good 15-year run with Humana. It was a great experience. Met a lot of good friends that I still have today. Then I left Humana and went a few years into the value-based care business, recruiting physicians for a local value-based care organization here with one of my doctor friends. And then the pandemic hit. And so that was a little interesting about recruiting physicians within the middle of a pandemic when I couldn't even get in the door to say hello. But shortly after, a good friend of mine, and some of you might recognize the name, Neil Reich, he's been in the industry over 25 years, Humana executive over the years. He gave me an opportunity to join his team at Heartland Financial, which is a large FMO national FMO, and I was running around the country, recruiting agents and agencies underneath the Heartland umbrella. And as an FMO, there's really three main areas that you have to provide value for your downlines, and one of them is obviously training, right? What kind of training do you guys offer? Whether community-based training, veterans training, T65 events, whatever it may be. That's one aspect. The other one is enrollment platforms and tools. What kind of tools and enrollment platforms do you have to make my agents' life as easy as possible, and CRMs and things of that nature. And then the last piece is, what kind of lead vendors do you partner with? What kind of lead ops do you have? Co-op opportunities, things of that nature. And that's how I found Doug Winslow and Rob Graham, the co-founders of Medicare Express, is through a process at Heartland. As you all know, if I'm sure you've purchased and maybe still purchase, direct mail leads and things of that nature. We found as far back as 2020, we saw a significant decline in the return rates of, direct mail pieces. And we saw it started really taking effect in 2021 AEP, and then 2022, it even got worse to our surprise. And I mean, as the cost of mail keeps going up, the return rates for direct mail were plummeting. And so literally in January, February of 2023, myself and Neil and other leaders in the Medicare division at Heartland started going on an interviewing blitz. And we were targeting mainly the digital lead vendors, because obviously we wanted to get away from the direct mail piece. And so we probably interviewed 30 or 40 different agencies, over a couple month period. And what we found is, and one of the ones we recommended for our distribution in AEP 2023, their Facebook program is very simple. You spend $1,000 a month with them, and they guarantee you 40 to 50 Facebook leads. And as you can imagine, and you guys probably have heard this scenario, and you're probably living this scenario if you're still buying Facebook leads, and if you do buy leads in general, tell me if this sounds familiar. Let's say you buy those 50, right? Out of those 50, you're lucky you may speak to 20, and then out of those 20, you're lucky if you're able to book 10 meetings, and then after that 10, you're lucky that 5 show up, and then you're super happy if you sell 3 or 4 out of those 50 to make a little bit of money, and then you start that insanity or that madness over again the next month. Well, we sat down and we started talking to Doug and Rob about their program, especially from a Humana standpoint. It made a lot of sense to us as ex-Humana employees, because if we have any ex-Humana folks here on this team, or know of any, you guys probably know some Humana agents, but back in the day, the value prop to be a Humana agent was they provided in-home leads, basically free leads to their employees, to their career agents. And it was great. I'd show up to work and turn my computer on in the morning, to be 3 or 4 appointments for me in my calendar to run, and I'd go out and make sales, and it was great. And then when I was promoted to a sales manager, that was one of my main functions, is to, disseminate the leads out to the team every morning. And so that was rolling along pretty good until I think it was about 2015, when Aetna came into the picture, when they were looking to purchase Humana and merge together. And when that happens, as you guys know, there's a lot of consultants that come out of the woodwork, and basically what in the long run, what happened is the consultants came back to Humana and said, you got all these call centers with 300 to 500 licensed sales agents in there. Why are you taking these incoming calls and then sending them to the field agents for them to run these in-home appointments? Why don't you just sell them over the phone? And so sure enough, over the last few years, Humana did away with that program. But going back to when Doug and Rob were talking about what they do, it made a lot of sense, because it reminded me a lot of what Humana used to do on their end for their career agents. So what we do is, we advertise on social media as well. Facebook, YouTube, and others and other native media. When they find us, when folks find us, they take this quiz. They come in and they take this quiz and it funnels down. They spend about 4 to 5 minutes with us, which is a long time on social media. And then when they get down to the bottom, there's a question that says something to the effect of, would you like to schedule an appointment with a local agent to discuss your questions in further detail? And they hit yes. And that's when our fronters get on the phone and we start that qualifying process. And I call it disqualifying process, because I think this is where our secret sauce really comes into effect and why our closing percentages are so high. And I'll talk about those here in just a second. We start the vetting process, and out of 100 people that come through our system, we disqualify 90 plus of them. So really only 8 to 10 of them out of 100 actually make it into a meeting. If somebody doesn't obviously have Medicare A and B, that's not a viable meeting. Somebody that tells us that they have a current local agent that they're working with, we don't book those appointments. And so we do our best, but what we do when they go through that process, we verify, first of all, we capture the scope for you, right? Then we tell you what carrier they're currently on. We verify Medicare and Medicaid. And when I say verify, we don't have access to the MARC system or any of the carrier verification links as far as, to tell you what level of Medicaid they're on, or, to totally, qualify them with having their Part A and B. We have to rely on the information that the consumer gives us. So, but we do ask second and third level questions. For instance, we just don't ask, do you have Medicare's Part A and B? Obviously, we ask that question. Yes. And then we ask, the red, white, and blue card. Yes. Do you physically know where that red, white, and blue card is? Yes. And so we do the same thing for Medicaid as well. We have in CMS's hands right now for approval, doc and med information. And so, soon we'll have doc and med information that we're going to provide you. I guess CMS, there's been a couple other more important things that they're working through here lately, but it's been in their hands for about 5 to 6 weeks now. So we're hoping to get that any day. And then the last thing we provide to you is, some of the reasons why the person's, out there looking to either switch, or if they're aging in, or if they're, coming off a group plan, whatever that may be. We put all that information into your individual portals that you'll get. And then along with the voice recorded scope, it's all put into your portal. And then the beauty of the program from an agent standpoint, based on the availability that you guys give us, we actually book that appointment right into your calendar. And we do, and when that happens, we're going to send you a text, confirming that, hey, Ronald, this is, Gary's going to be your agent. He's going to see you Thursday at 1 o'clock. And then, we encourage you, and I'm going to talk about, what successful agents are doing, when they get that text. But let me just go back to a couple other things I touched on earlier. During AEP, we had a little over 1,800 agents on the program. We booked a little over 53,000 meetings, and we closed a little over 25,000 of them. So we had a 48.4% closing percentage. And that's with 300 career Humana agents, brand new to Medicare agents on the program. And they closed at 28.6%. So, which, needless to say, Humana's very happy with those numbers, because they only have one product to sell, whereas you guys have, a number of different products that you can walk into a house with. So our closing percentages would have been well over 50% if we didn't have, 300 plus agents or so on the program with Humana. But again, really proud of those numbers. We have a really high show rate. Our show rate is 90+%. What does that mean? Well, that means still 1 out of 10 there is, on the average, is going to port you or no show you. And when that happens, I'm sure you guys are all great agents. You know what to do. You put your card in the front door. You circle back to the house a couple times before you leave the area, if that's possible. You make some phone calls. The next day, if you're in that area, you stop in again. Most of the time that I talk to agents where they got where there was a no-show, if they're circling back and they're communicating through our internal system, you know, our agents will see that too on the back end, like, hey, showed up at Ronald's house, you know, called 3 or 4 times, circled back a couple times. I'm going to still try to reach out to Ronald here the next couple days. When we see that, our team will reach out, the ones that scheduled the appointment as well, and we'll try to help reschedule that meeting for you. So it's really important that all of you communicate in the system, in our internal system, as much as possible. And so the other part that I mentioned is the beauty of this is you guys, as the agents in our system, you guys are the ones that choose the days of the week, the times of the day, and the zip codes, or the counties and the zip codes within those counties that you want these meetings to come from. So you guys control, you know, the amount of volume, so to speak. And this program is great for all levels of agents. And I'm going to answer all these questions in a minute. Just keep them flowing in there and we'll go one by one. This is exactly why we put these calls together, to try to answer any and all your questions. So for instance, a brand new agent that doesn't have anybody really to talk to yet, they don't have any community-based relationships, they don't have any doc relationships, they don't have a book of business to get referrals from. So, you know, what are they doing to get business? Well, they're probably buying leads, whether it's Facebook, direct mail, whatever. And they're going through that process I mentioned before, getting hung up on, yelled at, screamed at, and hopefully make 2 or 3 or 4 sales to make some money to start it all over again. But it's great for those new agents, because we give you somebody to talk to, right? A high quality, high intent person that wants to meet you in their home. The ultimate commitment is if somebody gives you a meeting into their home, in our mind. So then it's also great for those agents that are, you know, that have maybe 300 or 400 in their book right now, members, and they got a few community relationships, they got a few doc relationships, they're starting to get some referrals out of their book now. It's great for those agents. And then it's also great for those of you on the phone that, you know, have 800 to 1,000 clients. You're really not buying leads anymore, because you're really getting your referrals from your book, from your community relations, your docs, and so things are running pretty smoothly for you. But at the same time, you know, sometimes you might need a gap filler here and there, right? So for all levels of agents, this program works great for. And again, that new agent may give me 40, 50 hours a week in their calendar to book meetings, where the 3-4 year veteran may give me 30 hours a week. And then the last example, that seasoned veteran that's got a huge book, they may only give me 10 hours. So again, that's really one of the beauties of the program, is you guys control, you know, the volume, so to speak, by the amount of time that you give me in your calendar to get these meetings. So I jumped out and I've said a lot here in the first, you know, 10 minutes or so. So I'm going to pause here real quick to see if, I know there was a few questions here. Let me check in the chat. But yeah, if there's any questions, please ask away. Let's see, the first question, can the meetings be scheduled at our office instead of their home? Great question. The answer is no. You know, could you possibly invite them to your office for a meeting? Yes, I wouldn't recommend that. Like I said earlier, in our mind, the ultimate commitment is where somebody's letting you into their home. That's a big deal for a lot of people. And so, again, I'm not going to tell you how to do your business, but the system doesn't have the ability to book, because it is in-home type appointments. Next question was post. Okay, that was just, you know, post any questions here. And let's see, do we write the products right through the carrier? Do we write the product? I think what you're asking here is if yes, you're if whatever carrier that you're selling at that specific meeting, if you're using carrier individual sites as opposed to Connexure or Sunfire or some other enrollment tool, yeah, you would go ahead and go through their site. We don't have an enrollment site. We are actually partnering with Sunfire. That's coming soon, but we're not there yet, but that'll be soon. So if any of you use Sunfire, we may have some synergies there in the future.
I would like to add to that, Gary, thank you for mentioning that part about Sunfire. That's a really exciting enhancement that's going to be coming down soon, hopefully. And wanted to emphasize that currently with Sunfire. All of our producers have access to Sunfire, that you can use that to write and enroll people within national carriers like healthcare, Aetna, Cigna, Humana, WellCare. So it's an excellent tool to compare all plans in your area and then being able to submit enrollments with those national ones that I mentioned.
Yep. Yeah, and one of the questions that I get it all the time, and it gets right to the point. Okay, I won't say who said it's great. Okay, so how do you guys get paid? The cost of the meetings, in-person meetings, are $100 per meeting. You know, and I'm sure Rob's gonna talk to you at the end of this call about some co-op opportunities for the agents here on this call. But yeah, that's how we do have. One of the another question came in. I work almost 100% virtually, because work almost 100% virtually, and I'm also help on demand for the marketplace. We're not in the marketplace yet. We've talked about possibly going in and looking at ACA, but we're not there yet. As far as you know, telesales or selling over the phone, we do have that option is available now. It's you know, our live transfers is an option. I will say this though, you know, if any of you decide to go that route, or if you want to kind of be a hybrid and do both, I'm just being very transparent, and that we're just really getting off the ground with that program, you know, our instant meetings program. So just if you do go down that route, just please have your patience hat on for us, and you know, I would look for you guys to provide feedback, you know, good, bad, and the ugly, so we can actually get better at that process. But again, we just rolled that out a few weeks ago, so it's in the infancy stages, but we do have that option available. Those, we have a special introductory price of $39 for the direct live transfers. I'm a little bit old school myself. I like face to face, and obviously if I can get into somebody's home, there's a high chance, a high likelihood that I'm going to close that appointment and you know, try to get a customer for life, right? All right, so let's look at a few more here. Now it's you know, it's kind of pay as you go. Yeah, so in your portal, when you link your calendars and you get everything all set up in the system. And by the way, you know, I didn't demo the portal, because when you guys go through the training, you're going to see why I didn't do that, because the training is so simple, so straightforward. It's only about 30-40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes tops. Please take the time to listen to the videos and in the little you know, questions that we have in there. Go through those, because a lot of questions that agents have after they get up and running is answered in the training that they skim through, like you're doing a research for, you know, a carrier, right? So just pay attention, because this is all brand new to you guys. So, you know, take your time and go through that training, and all your questions are going to be answered. The portal, I get calls all the time about, thank you, your portal is so user friendly. I don't have any, I'm not a tech guy, and this is great for me, and blah, blah, blah. So you guys are going to all be the same way. You're not going to have any issues. The training, like I said, it's about 30 to 45 minutes. There's 4 modules. The first one talks about how to navigate through the portal. The last one talks about how we link calendars together and things of that nature. And so let me go back to some of the questions here. So yeah, going back to the question about prepaying. So once you're loaded in, once you got everything, you're live, your calendar's connected. There's an area where you can go in and put your credit card information in, right? And depending on what, you know, opportunities are given you from the agency, we would put in the different. Let's just say, just out of you know, saying that, let's say they go 50-50 with you, and I don't know yet. We're all going to see it here in a little bit, but let's just say that's something that they offer to you. We'll be able to go in the system and put it and mark it in there, and make sure when you guys go into purchase meetings that you're only paying 50, and then we would invoice you know, Rob on the back end for the difference. So it's kind of pay as you go. So So when you have credits, meeting credits in your portal, you're going to get meetings. No, we do not. We're not in the marketplace yet. Yes, you can do them over the phone, as I mentioned. Can we pre-qualify the visit before committing to it and paying the $100? Well, you know, when you say pre-qualify, we're doing most of that for you. And when we have the doc and med information, we're going to have everything for you. So I would say try not to do that, because you don't want to pre-qualify yourself right out of an opportunity, right? We're going to tell you, again, we get the scope. We're going to tell you what current carrier they're on. So we're going to soon provide you the doc and med information. And then we're going to give you the reasons why they're looking to switch, or if they're aging in or what. So you're going to have all that information. So prior to the appointment, you're going to maybe be able to do a little homework. And so you're going to be able to be much more efficient when you're in the house as well. And so I would say, I would not recommend trying to pre-qualify more than what we've already done for you. We do an extremely good job of getting you in the home, right? And then after that, you guys take over and do what you do best.
I'd like to add to that the part of Medicare Express that I am by far most impressed with is when I say that they provide highly qualified preset appointments, they're, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you are the only lead platform available out there that is providing pre-scoped appointments to advisors. And
we are.
For the advisors to get a appointment, the consumer's already completed that scope is unheard of. And so when I first learned about Medicare Express last September, I think the cost was a little bit lower than what it is now.
85
is $85. And usually when you hear about a vendor that's introducing, you know, kind of in their introductory phase a little bit, they are increasing, you're kind of skeptical. But I want to and emphasize the fact that when I heard about the increase to the $100 and then learned that with that increase, that it came then with further qualified enrollment opportunities and that they were pre-scoped, and I was thrilled. And we have a few brokers who have test piloted this for us on our end just so we could be familiar with it, and are thrilled with the results that they're getting. And knowing that the results are coming, the consumers are coming to them with already having completed a scope of appointment form is just being received with tremendous positive feedback. So,
yep. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I mean, look, you know, again, very transparent person. You'll get to know that with, you know, dealing with me, and we're not perfect. You know, I'm going to talk to you here in a little bit about what to do if you get one of these, you know, what I call wonky meetings. And so let me go through some more of these questions. These are great. This is exactly what I love doing these calls for. Can we just get new to Medicare? I don't want to drive to someone's house to review their existing plan that is still the best. Then I'm out time in 100. Again, I would, you know, I hear what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree that it's, you know, a waste of your time and money. If you go out to somebody's house and they're on the best plan that they're on right now for them, you're insurance agents, right? You're not just Medicare agents. You sell all types of insurance, I'm sure. You might have a focus on Medicare or some other product, but you all probably sell multi-lines of insurance. One of the things that happens a lot with our meetings program is I had an agent in Georgia 3 weeks ago close a $500,000 annuity on one of our Medicare appointments that he didn't sell. The guy was on a railroad retirement plan. He advised him to stay right where he's at. But before he left the house, started asking some questions. Again, we do a very good job of getting you in the house. And so when he started asking questions, he was just like, hey, you know, I know you're retiring here. Do you have a 401k? And the guy's like, yeah, I do. And he says, well, do you have a financial planner or somebody that you're working with to help you with that? He says, no, I don't. And then he says, well, sir, I can help you with that. And so, obviously he wasn't able to pivot right there, but he made another appointment a couple days later and started that process. 2 or 3 appointments later, he calls me up ecstatic, and I was really happy for him. And so literally I've got a client for life with Ty up in Georgia, because, $500,000 annuity at 8%, you guys do the math on that. It's a pretty good sale. So my point is, in saying all this, there's dental, vision, final expense, there's hospital indemnity, there's annuities, there's all sorts of cross-selling opportunities. So please don't look at it like I'm out $100 and I couldn't sell the Medicare plan, because the other thing that I want to mention with that is, and you guys all know this, with all the hoopla around CMS and the final rule and all these new changes that they're proposing. Number one, you guys are going to get a raise, which is nice. Number two is, the plans from a carrier standpoint, in my opinion, and I know a lot of executives at big carriers, the plans aren't going to get better this year. They're going to denigrate the products and the plans in a lot of markets. Sure, are there going to be pockets where some plans are still really hot? But overall, the plans are going to change, and they're not going to change to the better. And so there's going to be this year, you guys are going to have a banner year with plan switching and because plans that the folks are on right now that is the best plan for them at this time in their market may not become this AEP. So please keep that in mind. The scopes last for 12 months. So, we don't resell these names to anybody else. So that's your client. And so do the best you can with that. Okay. Questions are flying in, which is great.
I'd also like to add the program is geared towards agents who be appointed with KAFL for at least one Medicare Advantage carrier, and then various co-op. I'll speak more in detail later on, but about the co-oping that'll be available. And to capitalize on Gary's point about this being a huge year for changes in the Medicare Advantage market, Gary and I both attended the Medicarians National Medicare Conference last week. And one of the main points that was discussed, and I'm very excited about it, is that this all presents a tremendous opportunity, an educational opportunity for you to educate consumers in the area. And with Medicare Express getting you in the door, you have an opportunity to speak to these Medicare beneficiaries about the changes, enrolling them in plans that are going to best meet their needs and be more affordable for them. And also one other point that I'm kind of gathering in some of these questions is having to pay the $100. So the $100 is getting you in the door in front of a consumer who has already indicated interest, either that they're disappointed in their current plan and they want to switch, or there is definite interest in there in wanting to switch. It's not, they're kind of assured that they've got one foot out the door already from their current plan, and they want to know what plans then are available to them that are going to be more affordable and more suited for their needs. And as long as they have a valid election period, you'll be in the door. So I don't believe they're confirming, Medicare Express is confirming that consumer does have a valid election period, so that you're not going into the house without knowing that ahead of time.
Yeah. And then the other thing too that helps a little bit with the cost. I know we're not inexpensive, right? One of the hardest things I get agents to understand is CPA, cost per acquisition, right? That example I gave you in the very beginning of the call about buying 50 Facebook leads for $1,000, that's $20 a lead, right? But by the time you go through those 50 calls and the time it takes to recall people and get hung up on, and then you make those 3 or 4 sales, when you start doing the math and looking about all the time that it took you to get to those 3 or 4 sales, you're probably at least at $100 or maybe more, for the time and everything else, because your time is worth a lot of money. And so The other thing to keep in mind is, I'm sure none of you, especially now until the end of the year, none of you are going to leave a sale without getting an HRA. So once you get that HRA, that pretty much covers the cost of the meeting for you, right? So just keep that in mind as well. It says, one of the questions here, do we pay before or after the meeting? You would pay before the meeting and then just use your credits. T65. Our advertising and marketing right now at this time of the year skews heavily towards a dual population. I would say 80+% of the meetings that you guys will get will be from the dual community at this time. Yes, you'll still get a T65 or two that rolls in there. You'll get some SEPs, new movers, coming off group plans, whatnot. But for the most part, at this time of the year especially, you're going to get a higher percentage of dual eligibles. What carriers are this gearing to? We don't gear towards a carrier, any specific carriers. It's all the carriers and all the ones that you guys have in your toolbox. Also, if they're not healthy, they can't switch. So those leads are disqualified. It says also, if they're not healthy, they can't switch. So these leads disqualified. I'm not sure I understand that question. It might have been a piggyback on a different. Yeah, let me see here. No. Also, if they're not healthy, they can switch. So those leads are disqualified. I'm not sure what we're getting there. Hypothetical: client enrolls January effective DSNP, decides to switch plans in February instead of waiting until their quarterly opportunity. Then this becomes a rapid disenrollment. Can we get a refund on the lead because the broker won't get paid and due to no fault of our own? I don't think you can enroll somebody. It's a quarterly enrollment right now. There's talk about going back to a monthly enrollment, but you wouldn't be able to, enroll somebody in another DSNP if they enrolled for January 1st. Enrolls January 1st. I see what you're saying, for a January 1st effective date, and then okay. Then this becomes a rapid disenrollment. Can we get a refund on the lead because the broker won't get paid and due to now no fault of their own? We don't when we're not booking appointments. We ask if somebody has a local agent that they're working with, and we're not going to book an appointment. So again, I'm not sure if I completely understand that question.
I can touch on that.
Okay.
Medicare Express, their end of the bargain essentially is to provide a qualified lead for the brokers to get into their house and have that appointment. If you have a in-person appointment with a consumer and the consumer is excited to work with you and you build a relationship and they enroll on a plan, that is a fantastic opportunity where Medicare Express has fulfilled its obligation to, ideally to perfectly to get you in the door. If it happens to be that there's a rapid disenrollment in that situation, that is a lead that would still cost you $100. And again, like I'll said in a minute, I'll speak with you about co-opting opportunities, but you will not be refunded in that situation. But with regards to refunds, I have had examples with Medicare Express where there a couple of it's not very a usual occurrence, but there's been one where a broker got into the home and learned that they weren't currently enrolled in Part B, and that was so they weren't eligible to enroll at that point, and they were brought to the attention of management at Medicare Express, and that was in a situation where the cost of that lead was refunded to the producer because Medicare Express realized that part of the verification was missed. So, if there are circumstances in which you feel like, it was no fault of your own, and but that you weren't able to have that meeting that was set for you, please bring those to my attention, and I can be glad to advocate on your behalf to see if there's an opportunity to have it reimbursed. So.
Yeah, that scenario would happens from time to time, because again, we don't have a system to actually verify that. So there's times, and I think in that scenario we were being a good partner, right? Because if the way I look at that type of a meeting, same with Medicaid, because we'll ask the question on time, you have Medicaid, and they say yes. Well, and you get to the house and they've lost Medicaid, right? Which a lot of consumers have lost Medicaid over the last year with all the Medicaid changes. I look at that as an opportunity to help that person get their Part B back or get their Medicaid back. And when you do that, you have a customer for life, right? Because they'll appreciate you helping them get that. So when you do uncover that, that's an opportunity, and typically that would be a billable meeting. And again, I think we were just being good partners there. But there are certain situations where we do refund. You get to a house and the person's screaming and yelling at you, at their front door, telling they're going to shoot you if you don't get off I don't know why you're here. I told them not to come. In your portal, there's a support button, and you hit that support button. Not only will Trevor's name show up there, but all of our account managers will show up in there. But there's also an email, support@medicareexpress.com. If you have a wonky meeting where you feel like it should have never been set, the situation I mentioned earlier, we're not supposed to set meetings with folks that have a current local agent. And we ask those questions. And if somebody says, yes, I have a local agent, and we set that meeting, and you get out to that house, and that person says, I don't know why you're here. I told them I had a local agent already. Well, that's a no-brainer. You put that in the email. Hey, I just went to Gary Gore's house. He said that he told you guys that he works with a local agent. We pull that call, we listen to the call, and if Gary did say that, no questions asked, we credit it back to you. And especially in the beginning, until you guys get your feet up underneath you, we'll probably be a little bit more lenient, right? Just until you guys really figure it out. Again, with this one question here, if you're not with KAFL now, and you're not looking to, possibly change and go underneath their umbrella, then I'm sure you're not going to get supported on this program.
Well, certainly, this program, I've recognized, and I'm grateful that many people who have responded to this aren't currently doing Medicare business with us, but I'm excited to reach out to you and learn how I might be able to be of service and bringing you on board and giving you access to this and other programs that we have access to for our Medicare advisors. So I will be in touch about that.
On a no-show, is it refunded? If we went through all of our qualification processes and and obviously if it's a no-show, and you want to send that meeting to the support@medicareexpress.com, we'll pull the call and listen to it. But if our processes are all followed correctly, and by the way, the fronter, once he goes through the qualifying questions, it gets sent to another department it's like the it's kind of like the final stages, and they ask some of the same questions, and if they say yes to Medicare and Medicaid, and you get out there and they don't have it for whatever reason, again, technically that's a billable meeting. The same thing as far as a no-show. Now, one of the things that we do to help you is an hour or two before the meeting, we send out another text to that consumer saying, hey, Gary's on his way. He's going to be out there in a couple hours. Everything's still good. And then if we don't hear anything, then we're assuming that it's still good. Sometimes we hear back, oh my God, thanks for the text. I can't make it. I had an emergency. I got to go run. Please, let's reschedule. Sometimes, we get back, yes, looking forward to seeing Gary. I'm here. I'm waiting on him, right? So if we don't hear anything, we're not assuming that they're not there. We're assuming that maybe they don't have their phone right next to them, or it's on vibrate, it's in, whatever. So not, if we followed our procedures right, that is a billable meeting. Wow, this is awesome. I'm absolutely 40 to 6% clothing gold. Send me the link. Love it. Let's see, is there built-in recording? That's a great question. Is there built-in recording on the platform? Yes, well, we record the scope for you, so you'll get that recorded scope sent to you for every meeting. As far as the instant meetings are concerned, the live transfers, yes, we do record that. But if many of the agents that that I talk to that are starting on our instant meetings program, a lot of them, will tell the consumer, listen, I'm gonna call you right back on my system, because my system, everything needs to be recorded, and they just feel more comfortable with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. Okay. Okay, so all right, we ran out. So far, that's a ton of great questions, guys. Keep them coming. One of the things I wanted to really talk to you about too is some calendar management tips. And depending on drive times in certain counties and in certain areas, and again, remind me where most of the agents are going to be marketing themselves. Is it New York, or where is it? Where are we
We have brokers all throughout the country. So we have several brokers on here that
Okay.
are kind of dispersed throughout the country, but majority of our distribution is in New York State.
Okay, so I know how traffic is up there, and so when you start this program, I would highly recommend choosing one county really to start out with at first, and then or unless you already know, hey, I can do two counties because I can get from one side of one county to the other side of the other county in 45 minutes, which is not that bad of a drive. Then I would say, yeah, choose two counties if you want. But if the drive time is like I think it is in most counties, you're not going to be able to choose multiple counties, right? And so when you're setting up your calendar management on our program is a key to success. And so, for instance, we can't see when we link calendars, we're not going to be able to see who you're talking to, where you're at. We're just going to see that you've got a meeting 9 to 11. It's going to be a blacked out area. So we know we can't put a meeting in your calendar from 9 to 11. We could put a meeting in right at 11 though. So you need to go in and put buffers in after all of your meetings, and whether it's something you schedule or whether it's something we eventually schedule into your calendar, please go in and put a buffer in there, build some drive time in there, because if you put that buffer in there from 11 to 11:30, just busy, whatever you want to call it, then we wouldn't be able to book an appointment till 11:30, right? So that gives you plenty enough time to get from your next appointment to the other one. So there's also a default that system defaults you guys to an hour and a half meeting. In our mind, it's 15 minutes to the meeting, an hour with the consumer, and 15 minutes to the next meeting. Well, that would be a miracle in most counties in New York. So there's a 2-hour window and there's a 2.5-hour window. So I would definitely at least choose the 2-hour window when you're signing up in your portal. And again, all that's in the training. But that buffer is a huge thing. And by the way, all your appointments, whether they're personal business appointments or personal appointments, like if you got a doctor's appointment, you got to pick up your kid from school at 2 o'clock. If you got a dentist appointment, if you got to take the dog to the vet, all that stuff's got to be in your calendar, so we don't double book on top of something that you can't get out of. Because the last thing, consumer experience for us is the number one thing, and it should be for you guys as well. And so the last thing we want to do is have that negative call. Hey, I got to reschedule with you. I can't make it to the appointment today. Stuff like so we try to avoid that at all possible. Sometimes we can't, but that's why calendar management's a huge deal. And then, like I said earlier, when we send you the text that basically tells you, hey, we're introducing you to the client. Hey, Gary, this is Ronald. Ronald, this is Gary. Gary's going to see you at 1 o'clock on Thursday. And then we book that appointment, right? So you'll know that's kind of official when that happens. What successful agents are doing across the country, and it's not just one, it's a ton of them, is they take their business card, they take a picture of their business card, and they text it to Ronald or the consumer. Say, hey, Ronald, this is Gary. This is my business card. please do me a favor, lock my number into your phone. I'm going to call you tomorrow at 9 o'clock to introduce myself prior to our meeting on Thursday. And when you do that, and then that person picks up the phone at 9 o'clock, that person's going to be waiting for you at the door Thursday to come on in. I mean, and again, don't go through a requalifying process. Just introduce yourself, let them know how long you maybe been in the industry, that you're a local, you're a neighbor, you live in the same county, you drive a white Honda Accord, so when you see that pulling in the driveway, you'll know it's me. Something simple like that. Keep it nice and simple. Just start the rapport going, and then show up Thursday at 1 o'clock. What else, guys? We've got a few more questions. This is great. This is great. Okay, then how are you in the meeting? Call recording. So there is no call recording. Yeah, yes, there is call recording on the platform. If you and Trevor, if you want to jump in, just make sure I'm not misspeaking here in the live transfers. It is recorded, correct?
Sorry, repeat the question, Gary.
In the live transfers, when I know it's all recorded prior to the transfer, but when we transfer, it's still recording, right?
We're recording it, yeah, but we don't provide the recording as it stands right now.
Okay, so I would suggest again, guys, to because I know over the phone you need everything recorded, and so I would suggest that you would tell the person you're going to call them right back on, so you can record the meeting on your system, whatever system you're using.
Yes, the Sunfire enrollment platform that we have access to and our producers have access to has a very simple, easy to implement call recording feature in it. I'm glad to provide a demo on that for anybody who's using it and not familiar with that functionality.
Perfect. Let's just go through some questions here. All right, you're answering some for me. That's great. All right, so I went over the calendar management. I went over the really important part about, I mean, guys, I can't tell you how much success agents are having when they're taking a picture of their business card and then calling them the next day, because basically what you're doing there is you're making yourself and the appointment real. Because these guys, these seniors, they make appointments and they don't really, I wonder if Gary is going to show up, right? And when you text them pretty soon after you get that initial welcoming text, and you text them your business card and telling them, please lock this in, I'm going to call you tomorrow at a certain time. Oh my God, now we're real, right? So if that person had any kind of inclination of canceling or not really wanting the appointment, guess what they're going to do? They're going to cancel right there. They're going to call, oh geez, this is real. I don't really want to see this agent. So it's going to also save you time and money, because they're going to cancel, and if it cancels appointments, obviously we credit that back. We don't charge you for that. And okay, and then one of the other crucial aspects of the plan for for myself and for Rob and KAFL is dispositioning. It's super important to give us and let us know the outcome of the meetings. And again, all this is in the training. There's different categories. So please, like for instance, there's a category in there that asks what carrier you enrolled the person on, so they can track all that as well, especially if they're getting co-op funding from a certain carrier and for a certain period of time that you're wanting to see some Humana sales, right? And so, you probably want to lead with Humana first, and then obviously do what's in the best interest of the client. So, yeah, any other questions that you guys can think of at this point?
Sure that people are excited to learn about what co-oping is available. So I'd like to get into the presentation. Yep. So with regards to our new marketing reimbursement program, excited to announce KAFL Cash, our new marketing reimbursement program for Medicare. We've broken it down to two different tiers. Tier 1 for newly appointed advisors. We can provide you with an initial $25 towards a lead purchase and an immediate lead purchase, whether it be anything from a list of people turning 65 or you want to put $25 towards Medicare Express appointment, we can do that for you. Also, with our newly appointed advisors, we're providing immediate access to tools, resources, quoting, and enrollment platforms that are detailed on our website at KAFL.com/Medicare. And then further, for our existing advisors and our consistent producers, we're able to reimburse $500 for every 12 new to Medicare apps that, these are eligible to be reimbursed once the policies have been placed with commissions paid to KAFL, of course. And this is going back starting from February 1st through November 30th. And we just asked that there's going to be an online portal for you to be able to submit reporting that when you're eligible for that and you have those 12, you can submit a report through our website. And we'll review that, and upon approval, be able to process reimbursement to you upon receiving receipts for those eligible expenses. And we're either going to be able to pay the lead vendor directly upon receiving invoice from that vendor, or we can pay the advisor yourself directly once, again, you provide receipts. And again, our programs are available, these Medicare programs available to our existing advisors appointed with at least one Medicare Advantage carrier and issuing business. With specific regards to Medicare Express, we do have various levels of co-op available with our highest producers earning up to a 50% co-op. We can start co-oping levels at 25%. And then also, if you're brand new and, haven't been able to business, we can work out an agreement as long as you're appointed with us. I can give you access to Medicare Express, and then you initially pay for it all up front at $100. And then if you got to that 12 cases, again, you could submit those for reimbursement upon, and you got to 12, we can submit, $500 of reimbursement towards you that you could use towards those expenses that you had to pay 100% of the expense for. So there are various levels of co-oping available, and certainly, want to be able to work with you to help you establish your business. And that's what I'm here for, and to provide value to your business, help you become a significant Medicare advisor. This is a really critical year for advisors, Medicare advisors, to come into the market and really provide a service to people in our community who are going to have a lot of questions regarding changes in Medicare that are upcoming, that are going to be, coming into fruition. Like, really quick example that I'll provide more details on later is, the $2,000 max out of pocket that's coming to Medicare prescription drug plans that will realize a significant increase in Medicare prescription drug premiums and, likely Medicare Advantage plans as well. So, for you to be able to be an advisor and be able to use a program like Medicare Express to help you get into clients' homes, it's a tremendous opportunity. And we're glad to be able to partner with Medicare Express and provide our advisors this valuable resource.
Awesome, Rob. Yeah, guys and gals, again, transparent. We're not perfect. Are all these meetings that you go to going to be absolutely perfect and 100%, all the time? No. I mean, one of the questions, one of the last questions I saw there was, so we reimburse for when a consumer cancels. Yeah, we're definitely going to reimburse that, and hopefully, that happens way before you get out to the house, right? So if they cancel prior to the appointment, or the day of, we're definitely going to credit that back. If somebody no-shows you, we expect you to, and again, if you want to send that in, we'll pull the call and make sure we did all the things correct on our end, with the verification process. And again, it goes through 2 different departments. And if they no-show you, then we expect you to, to work that lead and work that meeting to the best of your ability. Again, you're going to put your card in there. You're going to circle back a couple times during the same day. Maybe when you're in that area, go out there the next day if you're out in that area. Keep trying to call, and then obviously communicate through our internal system as well. Hey, I showed up at Gary's door Thursday at 1, left my card there, called a few times, circled back a few times. I'm going to continue to reach out here to try to get a hold of him. But when we see that, our team will see that too, and we'll try to help you reschedule that. And so it's important that you guys communicate through our internal communication. And so Trevor and the rest of the team can see that, so we can make sure that we can maybe try to help you if you did have a no-show. Again, our show rate's 90%. So you shouldn't have a ton of no-shows. If you do, and we definitely need to hear about it, because something may be right in that certain community or area or something where we might not want to set appointments in that certain zip code if there's a high abundance of no-shows, right? Any other last minute questions, guys? Trevor, do you have anything to add, buddy? Is there anything from your standpoint? Again, the folks on the phone, Trevor is going to be your right-hand person. When you guys go through the initial onboarding process and you choose the county you want to work in and the zip codes and all that good stuff, and you'll be able to do that initially yourself. But then any changes to that, if you want to move from one county to another county, you're going to have to reach out to Trevor to help you do that. You won't be able to do that on your end. So Trevor is going to be a huge advocate for you guys, especially in the beginning, until you do get your feet up underneath you, until you figure things out. And that's the other thing. I always recommend that you get a minimum of 10 to 15 of these meetings underneath you before you make any final decisions about pulling plugs or on the program. Because I've had a ton of agents start out 1 for 5 the first week, and they're like, woof. And then the next week they go 4 for 5, and now they're 5 for 10. They're like, all right, now I understand, and I'm getting it and understand it. And so I have I have some agents. There's an agent that's with Gordon Marketing that I brag about this agent all the time. I mean, he's had and I just looked at it I just looked at it last Friday. He's got 183 meetings, and he's closed 164 of them. Now, is that all around the country? No, but that's just one agent just killing it. And by the way, that agent was the agent that told me that he takes the picture and then sets up a phone call the next day. So that's probably the agent that's got at least 100 meetings, that is closing above 90% on our program. That's what that agent is doing. Picture, phone call, he's killing it. So that's why I share those certain things for you. We've got one more question that came through. Well, yes, the only and by the way, guys, and don't take this the wrong way, because I still say it myself. I'm not in the leads business. I'm in the meetings business. There's a huge difference. Leads, you got to work. You got to schedule the appointments. You got to hope and pray that the people show up on time, or even show up at all. You got to capture the scope of appointment. What we do all that for you. Okay, that's so if I can get agents to really grasp and understand what CPAs, cost per acquisition really is, and how you factor all that, I think you would see that what the service that we provide to you at $100 is not out of the ballpark. It's not a crazy. Yeah, yes, we are a premium, but we're very good at what we do. And the less expensive meetings that we offer are the instant meetings, the live transfers. Those are $39 that you would sell over the phone. we're just a third-party marketing organization. You know, we don't get commissions. We just charge a fee for our service, and then the commissions that you guys get, you know, right now it's what, a little over 300 for you know, plan to plan switching, and a little over 600 for new. Next
I'd
year,
like to emphasize that too with the CMS final rule that came out 2 weeks ago. It is confirmed that you know, there was going to be $100 increase in direct producer
Yep.
commission. So you're going to be receiving the normal increase in the fair market value of the commissions that CMS will administer plus $100. It's not confirmed yet what that exact amount will be, but it is estimated that it could be $726. And you know, so currently, you know, what the uncertainty is right now is, so right now we're able to do these co-ops, but with this increase in commissions that's at the writing producer level, which is fantastic for writing advisors, and we're thrilled. However, we're not sure if that's going to be coming out of the margins of what's available to the marketing organizations that provide these services to brokers throughout the country. So, you know, it's a, you know, right now we're very, very excited to have this program, and we will continue to have it, and we will have various levels of co-oping, though those amounts could change. But
yeah, the one thing too that I really want to emphasize with this group here, because it, you know, we do have a pretty sizable, you know, group here, and you know, I can sit here and tell you and stand up on my soapbox and tell you all day long, you know, what to do, what other successful agents are doing, how to do it, and things of that nature. But you know, in a group this size, let's say there's 20 of you, you know, typically you're going to see 15 of you are going to be in that 40% or higher closing ratio when you come out of the gates. And then there's going to be a few that struggle for whatever reason. You know, I had an agent today said that he doesn't go out to a meeting. If he calls the client, he doesn't go out to the meeting unless they actually return his call or answer the phone. He doesn't go out. And if he would have looked at the internal communication through the internal texting, the lady said she was looking forward to seeing him today. And so, you know, he had no-showed yesterday. They rescheduled the appointment to today. He called the person again. They didn't answer, and he's already dispositioning it as a no-show. So we called him back immediately because we saw the disposition and said, what are you talking about? The lady's expecting you see you, and he didn't even look at the internal communication that was going on. So some people don't answer their phone at all. And I'm sure that agent's not taking a picture of his business card, and I'm sure that agent, so that's a case where that agent's closing percentage is horrible because he's just not following the procedures the correct way, not doing the right thing. And so that's a coaching situation for that agency and that agent. And lo and behold, he got in his car. He said, "Oh, I live an hour and a half away. You know, I'm not driving an hour and a half unless somebody answers the phone." Well, your boss puts you in that area for this special campaign with Cigna, and you agreed to go out there. When we book an appointment, and just because somebody doesn't answer, that doesn't mean they're not there waiting for you to get there. That means they're just not answering the phone. So, you know, just communicate through and watch the intern. And again, the training guys, after this call, you're probably all going to get sent the onboarding links and the training. Just please take and just go through it, and not like a regular carrier research where you just click, and boom, and you read through it. And because everything that a lot of the questions that agents come back to myself and Trevor with are in the training. It's right there in black and white and on the video. So again, I appreciate so much all of your time. I know how busy you all are. Rob, unless you got anything, buddy, that's all I had. And just really looking forward to getting you guys up and running. And Trevor, can you put your can you put your email and contact information in the chat box real quick so everybody has that?
Yeah, Gary, thank you very, very much. Trevor, too, I appreciate you being available. I will be following up with each of you, and then we'll put out more communication regarding the sending you the links to the video. We want you to view the video, and then we can get you an onboarding link to get you onboarded with Medicare Express. It's a tremendous tool. We've seen a lot of success with it, and I'm very excited about the potential it can provide. So again, anybody feel free to send me an email. My contact information is on the screen there, or give me a call. And again, I'll be sure to reach out as well. But again, thank you very much, everybody, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. You too. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Trev.